GM Andrew Berry had this to say to Cleveland.com about Shedeur Sanders coming to the Browns. Quote, I don't anticipate that being a problem. Shedeur is a really impressive young man. He's poised, he's calm, he's smart, and you can tell that he's been raised by, quite honestly, a Hall of Fame dad. We're going to get to know him even more over the course of the spring, but he's really impressive. Let's bring back Adam Schefter. Schefter, what are you hearing about the possibility of Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland at number 2?
Well, I think Cleveland's going to stand there and pick whoever it wants, no matter how Shedeur Sanders or anybody else feels about the prospect of going to Cleveland. I don't know that Cleveland's going to be at the forefront of Shedeur Sanders' wish list, but I think the Browns would say, we're not worried about his wish list. We're worried about picking the best player possible. And if that turns out to be Shedeur Sanders, then that's who the Browns believe they'll wind up going ahead and picking, but there's still a process that they have to get through. One thing they've made perfectly clear is that no matter how many offers or what compensation they're offered from Myles Garrett, they're not in the market to trade him. Remember all the speculation at the deadline last year about teams checking into Browns would be interested in dealing Myles Garrett. They've made it very clear they're not going to deal him. They recognize the Hall of Fame talent that Myles Garrett is, and no matter who calls and no matter what is offered, the Browns say they are holding on to Myles Garrett, and I don't think it would be a surprise to see them reward him with a contract extension this offseason to make him even happier.
Shefty, thank you so much. That defense is really good. They just need somebody on offense to add some stability. I mean, Joe Flacco a year and a half ago had this team feeling really good. What do you think about the idea of Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland?
I like it. I like Shedeur Sanders as a talent. I think, he has the arm strength. He has the feel for the game. He's a guy that is used to building programs. You saw what he did at Jackson State. He went to Colorado with, I think they were a 1-win team when he in prime time got there, so that bodes well. Also, he's not a stranger to the spotlight, right? You're a top-round pick, and a lot of times when you are a top quarterback drafted, sometimes they're blinded by the spotlight, and it becomes too much pressure. This is a guy that doesn't rattle to pressure. He's the son of the best athlete in the history of the world. So all those things point to a quarterback that feels like he's primed, no pun intended, for the moment. The question becomes, is that a destination that he wants to be at, that Prime wants to be at? Because also, if you're a Browns fan or a part of this organization, you want a quarterback who not only wants to be there, they feel like they're the catalyst to turn this into a winning program. That's what I want from my quarterback.
I love that you said that, the catalyst to turn it into, because you mentioned Jayden Daniels' name earlier, C.J. Stroud when he first got to Houston, the catalyst to bring about change, and we saw what it did to that organization. There's so much about whether Shedeur wants to get there. I look at the Cleveland Browns in a situation that is there. You have Stefanski, who's a 2-time Coach of the Year. Tommy Rees is their offensive coordinator who was in college and knows that level of the game as well. And then you look at the fact that Stefanski, you said it, Kev, a year ago, there were 4 or 5 different quarterbacks that all started for them, and they still went out and were able to play in a playoff game. So I look at the situation he's walking into with a guy like Jerry Jeudy on the outside, a tight end like David Njoku on the inside. You have some weapons around you to try to build, and the most important part is, you just said it, they have a defense.
Yes.
So for Shedeur Sanders, you get there, Jim Schwartz, a defensive coordinator, that takes pressure off of him. You don't have to go out there and put up 30 points a game. You can hand the ball off, run the ball, and then play good defense and make plays in the fourth quarter to propel your team.
Yeah, I know the dog pound identifies with toughness, too. Just turn on the tape. Shedeur took so many sacks over the last 2 years, then got up and did it again. Got up and did it again, and he was fantastic. The Big Ten, I should say the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. And keep in mind, since returning to the league in 1999, the Browns have used 40 different starting quarterbacks and had 17
with 31 of those.
last place division finishes.
One season.
I'm sorry, Hawk.
You should have told me not to go my one season.
I'm so sorry for both you guys. Coming up, J-Mac and Hawk are going to break the different ways the Chiefs Pro Bowl games back in Orlando. The first 6 events of the skills competition begin Thursday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN. The final 4 events Sunday starting at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. It all culminates with a 7-on-7 flag football game with Peyton and Eli back to coach the AFC and NFC team. Should be a lot of fun out there. And NFL Live will have a special show from the Pro Bowl tomorrow. Tune in for that. Right now, it's time to read and react to some of the biggest storylines around the league. Steelers president Art Rooney spoke on Monday during his end-of-season news conference, talked about wide receiver George Pickens, saying, quote, George is a very talented player who has room to grow, and we'd like to see him grow, and hopefully he realizes the potential that he has, but there's definitely room for growth there. Hawk, your reaction to that?
I think it's spot on. I think George Pickens has #1 ability, but he needs to get to a level where he has #1 skill. And not just skill on the field. I'm talking about maturity in the way that he approaches the game. Is he a guy that can affect the game whether he's getting the ball or not getting the ball? Is he a guy that on any given play can line up and no matter who knows that the ball is coming to him, he can win? And that means making sure you're clearing out when the play calls for it. It makes defenses look at you and say, okay, we have to defend this guy a certain way, and we never know when the ball is coming away. You know, and that's leadership. That takes time. That takes experience, but it takes an investment from George Pickens into himself and into the process of being a professional.
Kid's got so much talent,
so much
maturity. So much talent. All right, to Buffalo, where it's starting to become a theme as the Bills lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons, with Josh Allen falling to 0-4 when opposing Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. It's the first time in NFL history that one team has eliminated another in the playoffs 4 times over a 5-season span. So, J-Mac, what stood out to you and how the Chiefs got it done this time around down the stretch?
Well, you see this play. This was a 4th and 1 earlier in the game, and to me, it comes down to it. The Chiefs execute when it matters most. They came back to the same exact play at the end of the 4th quarter to try to ice this game, and then they put it away with this pass to Samaje Perine, a same pass that they ran in 2017 I saw against the New England Patriots. Andy Reid and this Chiefs team, they know how to operate when it matters most, and that's what the Buffalo Bills are missing. Not only the 4th down play where they don't get the protection set the right way, they're not able to execute the play, but multiple times throughout that game, when it comes to the crucial moments, it's the Chiefs that always come out on top. The Bills are right there talent-wise. You want to win a championship, you have to have championship-level execution when it matters most, guys.
Like the Patriots that we saw during their dynasty. It's now the Chiefs' way that we're seeing in Kansas City. To Cleveland, where the Browns hold the second.
Time for cover 3.
I'm a Ferrari.
So you're saying he's 40.
Sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you.
Fascinating right there.
My chin strap's not actually tight, and there's a reason for that.
Had a GB coach, he used to say, see a little, see a lot.
This is diabolical at home, okay?
You can accelerate like I can.
Let's have some fun, okay?
Okay, boys, let's do that every week.
We are down one of our teammates, so it is not cover 3 today. It is cover 2. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, rookie receiver that everyone had high expectations for, but I think he may have even exceeded what we thought to be capable.
He definitely did, and we're going to try to exceed expectations now that we've lost Dan.
Yeah.
And you talked about a speed guy who normally he's their gadget guy. He's the one going in motion, the screens, and all of those different things. And I think what's fascinating, as we've seen his growth, he's up top right here, and you're going to look at it. We've talked about it all the time. It becomes 4-by-1. He's isolated up top, one-on-one. This is a 3rd down and 4 situation, and now it's just mano-y-mano. He has to beat Rasul Douglas, and he does it right there. And